places you had contacts already? What did that look like?
So there were a few different things we looked at when trying to decide, which states out of the 20. We started in Georgia for a few reasons. A, I think when you're looking at states that have both just, historically have been really good at voter suppression, but also historically has had a really incredible history in fighting it. Georgia is really right up there. Atlanta is also one big central city. And we really thought, all right, if we go there, we can learn a lot about how to build an organization and a history of voter suppression with one of the strictest laws. I always say that, and there are actually very few states that don't have extremely strict laws, but I mean, you got to sort of narrow it down somehow. And then we knew, there's also just a ton of very rural areas in Georgia, and so it would give us a chance to learn how to build in both areas. We went to Virginia because Virginia had the big 2017 fall elections. And so it was a chance for us to build in an area where we could, get people to the polls right away and try to impact those elections, but also just have our very first GOTV test, in a very small way and learn about how to do that. Florida and Texas, we knew we wanted to launch in as quickly as possible because they're just enormous. And we just knew it's just going to take us so long to be able to get any sort of saturation in those states that we need to start now. And then with Amendment 4 coming, that law is going to pass in November. And the courts have already said that Florida has to change their reinstatement law. So we know that 1.4 million ex-felons are going to be able to vote soon. We don't know what that's going to look like, but that's a huge pool and a huge percentage of the people we work with are returning citizens. And so we knew, all right, we've got to get into Florida and try to build an infrastructure and try to, get chapters set up before there's another 1.5 million people who are eligible to vote and need help there. And then we went to Tennessee for a couple of reasons. A, I love Tennessee more than anything, and any excuse that I get to go there, I'm so happy. So it's I want an excuse to go to Tennessee all the time. But also Tennessee is one of the states like Texas, like Georgia, except for a very small selection of schools, like a lot of states that don't allow students to vote with their IDs. You can vote with a gun license, but not a student ID. And Tennessee students really tried to fight that law. They were really vocal about it. They went to the courts. They lost, but they've really been active. And so we thought, well, we want to be able to go there. We want to figure out the best ways that we can work with students, which was great because when we launched in Texas, we had some experience. And so we were really able to then, work a lot with students in Texas, which is something we're focusing on heavily there. So, those were a lot of the reasons we chose those states. And then partially it was just you've got to choose something, and we didn't have the budget to launch in all 20 at once. So we started with one and then built up as we had the budget for it.
You mentioned you like spreadsheets and tracking things. Do you have any sense of how many people you've helped at this point?
Yeah, so and this changes every day. And it's funny because DMVs are closed on Sundays. And so it's my data will never change on Sundays until I realize that, some of my volunteers put all their data into the system on their day off on Sundays. So it even changes then. So we, as of when I checked yesterday, had gotten IDs for about 308 people. And we had 340 something or something like that in the pipeline to help. And so that's, for us, it's super exciting. A year ago, actually, it was sometime in September that we got our first ID. So it's been in 1 year, we had one little chapter, and now we've grown up and are helping hundreds of people, which is really exciting for us.
That is super exciting. So I think that the big question our listeners are going to want to know, and we want to help you. So what are the ways that people can get involved? Yeah.
So if you're in the 5 states we're in, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Virginia, or Georgia, please, please, please volunteer. We need as many, awesome people who want to take the time to be able to help voters get IDs as possible. So you can go to either spreadthevote.org/volunteer or just /your state. So, spreadthevote.org/Texas. See the chapters we have. If there is a chapter in your area, then the email address for that chapter is on the website. You can email them. We also have the email of each state director on that page, and you can always email them. If we're not in your town and you'd like to have a chapter in your town, awesome. Email our state director and tell them you want to start a chapter. So you can totally volunteer. If you're not in one of those states, or if you are, you can always donate at spreadthevote.org/donate. And we also have a monthly donor club called Hamer's Heroes. You can give as little as $5 a month. Our monthly subscribers are amazing. And then join our subscriber club, and you get an exclusive T-shirt and a quarterly call with me, and a couple. We send these really fun weekly texts every Friday, on the ground from one of our states, just telling you sort of what's up and what we're doing, which has been really fun. So that's a huge way. And then the third thing that's actually more helpful than I think people think is really just being active with us on social media and, retweeting us, sharing us on Facebook, or I'm never on Facebook. I never remember how you use it, but doing Facebook things, hearting us on Instagram, whatever. It's just so helpful to help us recruit volunteers, to help us recruit donors. But one of the big things that we really need people to understand is IDs are hard to get, and a lot of people don't have them. And here is what it means to people, and here is how it changed people's lives to get IDs. And we need more and more people to know that, so that we can change the perspective of, oh, everyone should have an ID, and they're just lazy if they don't, which we hear surprisingly often, to, oh, now I understand and I want to do something about it. And so, being active with us on social media is huge. And then when we do launch in new states, you'll be the first to hear if you're on Twitter. I can never keep a secret on Twitter, so you'll hear. And then you'll be able to get involved and volunteer with us in whatever states we launch in.
This is so exciting to hear about, Kat. I'm really, really excited about this.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for letting us spread the word on your awesome podcast.
I think this is so great, and I hope that our listeners will definitely, follow you on social media and volunteer and donate. I know that there are people who listen in all of those states, and I think, have we done all of those states? No, not Virginia. But Texas, Florida, Tennessee, and Georgia. Yeah, we've done state episodes on all of those states, and so I know
awesome.
We have a lot of listeners in those states. And so I hope, I hope too that we can connect some campaigns to this. I think, a lot of campaigns as they go around canvassing are doing voter registration and may not know how to connect people with resources to get IDs if they need them. So.
Yeah, and something important for people to know is we're a nonpartisan 501c3, but if you are registering voters or, just encountering people in the world who need IDs, or I guess in the 5 states we're in, then you can tell them, hey, there's, a group that can help you, and you can send them to spreadthevote.org/vote, and there's a really short form they can fill out. If you go on our website, there's also a number that you can text just with basic info. We get a lot of people who just text and say, I need an ID, help. And then we'll, write back and find out where they are and get them connected to someone. And, any party that you're involved in, you can direct people to resources, same as you would direct them to a food bank or a shelter or anything else. So definitely it's so important. One thing that I try to emphasize is that if you are registering voters in a voter ID state, you have to make sure they have ID. 600,000 registered voters in Texas don't have the ID they need to actually vote. 200,000 registered voters in Virginia, 275,000 in Alabama. It goes on and on. There are so many people who are being registered who don't have the ID they need to actually go to the polls and vote. And it is critical that you make sure that when you're registering someone to vote, they have everything they need, including an ID and transportation, and that they understand how to vote and all these things. Because registration is really important, but it's just one part of the job. And we're really doing a disservice to people if we don't make sure that they can completely follow through and actually make their voices heard at the polls.
All right. Well, thank you so much for this really incredibly important work, and happy 1-year anniversary. It's just about our 1-year anniversary as a podcast as well. So maybe in another year, we'll check back in with you and see how far we've both grown. But this is just so fantastic. I'm so excited about it.
Well, thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
You too.
Thanks for listening to Two Broads Talking Politics. Our theme song is called Are You Listening? Off of the album Elephant Shaped Trees by the band Immunuri, and we're using it with permission of the band. Our logo and other original artwork is by Matthew Weflin and was created for use by this podcast.